Hi, my name is Anna Nazu, and I am an International Services Specialist in the Office of International Affairs.
And I'm Amy Bello. I am a Senior International Services Specialist in International Student and Scholar Services, Office of International Affairs at CU Denver.
So we are going to be presenting on navigating the immigration process today. We'll have a presentation and then time for Q&A at the end. And you can always email International Admissions or the ISSS team if you have other questions. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. So ISSS stands for International Student and Scholar Services. And what we do is we issue I-20s for F1 students and DS-2019s for J1 students. You can come to us for all of your immigration questions and needs. We monitor your immigration status while you're a student here at CU Denver and report to the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of State if you're a J1 student. We're here to help with cultural adjustment and can connect you to other resources on campus if you need those as well. So if you need to contact us before you arrive at the university, you can contact us at isss@ucdenver.edu or oia.helpdesk@ucdenver.edu. And you can contact International Admissions at application@ucdenver.edu.
All right, so in ISSS, we operate on a portfolio model, which means that for each different school and college, we each have responsibility for that. So for example, I currently work with the College of Engineering and Applied Science students, whereas my colleague Anna works with the School of Education students. Also, you can see Christine Wen works with the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. My colleague Nathaniel Lynch works with the School of Business. So we each have different groups that we work with, and that works well because then we're able to establish relationships with students. So Jennifer Ward is our sponsored student coordinator, and she works with all sponsored students and their sponsors. So she communicates directly with them. And so that's a very nice position that we have in our office. Go ahead here. Yeah. So how do you get your I-20 or your DS-2019 if you're on a J1 visa? The I-20, right, is for the F1 visa. The DS-2019 is for the J1 visa. So first of all, you have to be fully admitted to the university. International Admissions then sends your letter of admission to our office. Then within generally 1 to 2 business days, you'll receive an email from our office. It'll come from ISSS@ucdenver.edu, and it will contain our immigration clearance form. You want to go ahead and complete that form and upload all of your important documents like your passport, your financial guarantee, bank statement, sponsorship commitment form, etc. Once you submit that form to us, we will create an I-20 or DS-2019 for you within 3 to 5 business days. We do ship it directly to you as well, and we use FedEx for that purpose, and we send tracking information so that you have that information. It's very important when you complete the immigration clearance form that you list a complete mailing address and your contact information, phone number, email, etc., so that it doesn't delay the processing time for your I-20.
All right, and if you're using if you're going to be sponsored from a government or a company in your home country, so you're using a scholarship as proof of funds, you have to have certain information included in that letter. So that has to have your name on it. It has to have the University of Colorado Denver listed. It has to have dates, which that scholarship is valid. We do not accept letters that say for admission purposes only. Other important information is billing information with a complete address and an email, a contact name, and a phone number. And it also has to have your approved major or your academic program to study.
All right, so tuition and fees for the I-20 or DS 2019, we want to make sure that you understand what is required. So we actually, on the immigration clearance form, we have a link to the required tuition and fees. For each school and college and each specific major, those fees are different. So we do provide that information within the immigration clearance form. Of course, you can always email us if you have questions about the tuition and fees and what's required. And we will answer all those questions for you. So when you do provide your financial statements, we require you to include the amount for living expenses, books, and health insurance. And those are estimated costs provided by our financial aid office for the cost of living in Denver. The I-20 amounts may change from year to year and depend on how many credits you enroll in. So generally we base them for undergraduate students on 12 credits per semester. For graduate students, it's 6 credits per semester. So if you're taking more than that, your tuition and fees may be higher than that amount. And the amount requested on your I-20 may actually vary from your university bills. So your living expenses might be different, everything might be different depending on your particular situation. So we provide a general tuition and fees for all students. Specific questions about tuition and fees should be directed to the bursar's office. So they are the best able to answer those questions. All right, so what are the next steps after receiving your I-20 or your DS 2019? You're going to want to go online and pay the CBIS fee, which is the I-901 fee. You will go to fmjfee.com to pay that fee. It's $200 for F1 students and $180 for J1 students. You'll want to do that before your visa appointment because you will need to show a receipt for that payment for your visa. You'll also complete the visa application online, the DS-160 form, and pay the application fee, which is $160 for the visa appointment. At that point, then you'll schedule your interview with the consular office, the U.S. Embassy or consulate that you're going to go to, and you can go to travel.state.gov to set that up. After that, you will want to complete your online check-in and fundamentals orientation. We will be sending you information by email very soon about that. After that, you'll activate your student portal, which is through UCD Access. You can find that by going to ucdenver.edu to our website. You'll complete the other required online tour orientations that can be done prior to your arrival. And it varies depending on which school or college, which program you're studying in, as to which orientations you need to complete. After that, you will register for classes. I believe that registration opens up in April or May, so that'll be very, very soon for the fall semester, and you'll want to get enrolled. Then make plans for travel to the U.S. and for your housing. So we do provide information, pre-arrival information for you on housing. We recommend you review that information. You can enter the U.S. up to 30 days before the semester begins, before the start date on your I-20.
All right. Oh, and just a reminder, you probably want to bring your immigration documents, like your I-20, everything like that in your carry-on bag. Don't pack it away in your luggage.
One other recommendation that we have is that you don't carry your cell phone with you when you're coming into the U.S. We have received information that they might check your cell phone. So I'd recommend you just keep your cell phone put away as you enter the country.
All right, so Amy talked a little bit about, or she mentioned the orientations. So if you're an undergraduate student, you will need to complete the ISSS Check-In Fundamentals, and that's for all F1 and J1 international students, and that will be online. And as she mentioned, you'll get information about that at your email once that's ready for you to complete. Undergraduate students in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences also need to complete a CLAS pre-advising module, and that's also online, and that's only for CLAS undergraduate students. Graduate students also have to complete the ISSS Check-In and Fundamentals that will be online, and then usually individual graduate departments have their own department orientations that they should notify you about, but you can always ask an academic advisor or faculty advisor in your specific school or college. We'll also be hosting an international student conference in the fall, and that will be for all new and current international students. And once we have more details about that, we'll also be sending some information about that. Okay, so you have a couple of different advisors here at the university. You have your academic advisors. You might have a faculty advisor as well, and that's usually true for graduate students. And then you have your international services specialist in the ISSS, Department of Office of International Affairs. So those are folks like Amy and I. And as she mentioned, we have a portfolio model. So depending on what school or college you're in and what your major is, that will determine who your point person is in our office. And what we do is we handle all things related to your immigration status. So sometimes those things overlap with issues related to academics, but if you have questions about something related to immigration, you want to come and talk to your specialist in our office. And again, we might work with advisors in your department just to clarify questions that come up, but we will be processing all of your immigration documents. All right. Enrollment requirements for F1 and J1 students. So we're just talking about if the fall 2017 semester is your first semester right now. If you are an undergraduate student, you have to have at least 12 credit hours during the school year, and graduate students have to have at least 5 credit hours during the school year. And what that means is that's 12 hours or 5 hours, and that oftentimes equates for 12 credit hours. Usually that's about 4 classes, and usually for grad students it's about two classes, and they're usually 3 credits each. But everybody might have a little bit of a different situation, and so you can always ask your advisor specifically about that. If you're a sponsored student, you might have some specific requirements from your sponsor. In addition to these are immigration-related enrollment requirements. And for the summer, you are not required to enroll unless the summer semester is your first semester. So if you happen to be starting this June, then you are required to enroll in the semester.
All right, so we'll talk a little bit about employment. Be aware that your primary purpose on the F1 or J1 visa is to be a student, not to work. So we take that very seriously, and we monitor your status as a student if we approve employment for you. So F1 and J1 students are allowed. You're allowed to work up to 20 hours per week on campus while class is in session. J1 students have to receive approval from our office before they can begin an on-campus job. You are eligible to work more than 20 hours per week during breaks. So that includes summer break, winter break, spring break, fall break. We have all of those times during which you can work more than 20 hours per week. On-campus employment is only a benefit for F1 and J1 students, so that's something to be aware of. We define an on-campus job as a position located on the Auraria or the Anschutz Medical Campus that serves the CU Denver students. So if you have questions about that, you should definitely email ISSS@ucdenver.edu. You can find on-campus jobs by going to Handshake, and we can provide that information if you would like us to. But if you go online and search CU Denver Handshake, you should be able to find that website, and that's where you would find on-campus jobs. International students are eligible for student hourly positions, not work-study positions. So be aware of that. If you're going to apply for an on-campus job, you want to make sure that it says student hourly. All right, and then finally, for off-campus options, we do have off-campus options for students. However, You must complete 2 full-time semesters to be eligible to work off campus. And 2 full-time semesters means if you're starting in the fall, then you would complete the fall and the spring, and then you'd be eligible in the summer. You're eligible for off-campus employment that is an integral part of your major, meaning that it's related to your degree of study. You have to go through various steps to get approval to work off campus. So that's something that we have a few work clinics that we actually hold that go through that information that you need to attend before you can apply. Any other type of off-campus employment is not permitted. So it's very important that you only do on-campus employment or off-campus employment with permission from our office. CPT, curricular practical training, is used before graduation, and OPT, optional practical training, is used after graduation. So just be aware of that difference. For J1 students, they qualify for what's called academic training, and that is an opportunity which they can use either during their degree or after the degree. And we can talk more about that. You can find out more information on our website, and that's a great resource for academic training. Other off-campus employment could be considered, you know, employment by, so for example, if you think that you might be volunteering, you have to be very careful about what volunteer actually means, because in the eyes of the US Department of Labor, they might consider that to be employment. And so you always want to talk to us before you take any kind of job, whether it's paid or unpaid, on campus or off campus, if you have questions about that. All right, so any questions? Let's see what questions we have.
We just got this one.
Okay, so the question is, if I have got conditional admission for ESL, then you will send one I-20 for ESL and another I-20 for my program. Please describe the process. Anna Inazu actually works with our ESL students, so I'll let her answer that question.
Yeah, so you would get one I-20 for your ESL program. And you know, many students do complete our ESL program and then they move on to the university. So you get your I-20 for your ESL program after you've been admitted to the program. And then once you graduate from ESL, we do what's called a change of education level, because you're changing your education level to the university level. You would still need to apply and be admitted for the degree program. But once we have that confirmation and you know you followed some of the steps that we need for immigration documents and things like that, we would change your I-20 from your ESL I-20 to your degree program I-20. And there's some details about timing and deadlines that we would have to consider, but you know, you're welcome to ask more specific questions about that and about your specific case if that's helpful. And we're going to be sending out this presentation as well to everybody, so I know there's a lot of information in here and you don't have to remember everything, so you can have a copy of that.
Now, I mentioned earlier that also if you have questions, you can email ISSS@ucdenver.edu. You can also email oia.helpdesk@ucdenver.edu. So both of those resources are really great in our office. We have another question. Any issue if a student would look for funding for his or her own personal project and work on that project when he or she has free time during the program he or she is taking? I think I would need more information about what this means. What would the personal project mean? And what would the purpose of the personal project be? So if whoever asked that question would like to provide a little bit more explanation, we could certainly address that. Another question is, what's your advice about students from countries suffering from new immigration ban for 6 Muslim countries? We will actually be sending out a memo that came from our chancellor, Dr. Dorothy Harrell, and she specifically addressed this, and she said that, you know, we are a very supportive, welcoming campus. We encourage everyone, even, of course, everyone from all over the world to come to CU Denver, and we support all students here. It doesn't matter what country you're from. So we will do whatever we can to support our students.
We have an updates section on the ISSS website. So as we learn more information about the various things that are happening with the executive orders, we try as fast as we can to get accurate information updated on our website, just to share with students.
And our website is international.ucdenver.edu/ISSS. So that will take you directly to our website.
I'm going to post that.
Any other questions? Okay. Are you allowed to do OPT? Graduated in 2003 at FIU, but opted not to do the work experience. That's a good question. So all students are eligible for OPT after degree completion. They get 12 months of OPT. Now, if you are in one of the STEM eligible fields, science, technology, engineering, or math, then you do qualify for an additional 24 months of OPT, which would be utilized at the end of the initial 12-month OPT period. So, and depending on, for this student, depending on the previous major, they might be able to do the STEM extension of OPT at this time, but you can't go back and use OPT from a previous period, but you could potentially use the STEM extension of OPT from a previous degree.
And there's a little bit more information, I think, on our website about, we do, once you're here, we go over it in person in something called a work clinic, but there is some information about our OPT processes here on the ISSS website under employment opportunities.
When should we start looking for housing? Is there on-campus housing? That's a good question. So we are an urban campus. So we are located in downtown Denver. And as such, there is not a lot of space on our campus for housing, unfortunately. So we have a few on-campus housing options. We basically, the Campus Village is our option for on-campus housing. And you can certainly find that online, Campus Village at Auraria. Is that Campus Village, I think, is all that it goes by now.
Yeah.
So there's also a few options that are in very close proximity to the campus. But when we send out the pre-arrival information, we will send out information about housing, and we recommend that you review that. And then if you have questions, of course, contact us. I would say when you should start looking for housing, start looking now. Start looking for options, because in Denver, housing can be a bit of a challenge, because there's a lot of people that want to live in Denver, and so you want to look as early as you can for housing.
I'm interested in graduate studies. Is there any difference about the explained process? I would also like to know about scholarships or financial aid programs, if any. So that is probably a good question for application at ucdenver.edu. That's our admissions email, just so they can address your specific question and find out a little bit more information about your situation. I think they might be able to help you with some scholarship and funding information as well. In terms of financial aid, federal aid, that's within the U.S. International students would not qualify for, but we can provide a little bit of information about potential scholarships that are available for international students. But again, you might need to sort of weed through those and find out what you specifically might qualify for.
I think there's one more question there. Okay.
Okay.
And we already addressed that about financial aid. All right. Well, of course, if there's any further questions, you're always welcome to email us. You can call us as well. And oh, sorry.
Oh, there's a question about, can international students register for FAFSA? And the answer is no.
FAFSA, by the way, is the federal aid, what is it?
The free application.
Free application
Federal
for
student aid.
federal student aid, and that's a US program.
And then what would be the average value for the I-20? So that really depends on your degree level, if you're an undergraduate student or a graduate student, and then also what program, what your major is, so what school or college you'll be studying in, and the credit requirements for that particular program. So we do the best that we can to give you an estimate for your I-20 figures, but sometimes that number is a little bit different than what you end up actually being billed for, because those amounts change each year, and living expenses might be different for you than somebody else. So we do the best that we can, but the Bursar's website is a really good resource for that if you're looking for more specific numbers.
And our website also does have that information as well. So if you want to look at your specific degree program that you're going for, you'll find it there. Yeah, so one more time, we will be sending this presentation to you, so don't worry about that. We will send that very shortly to you. And of course, you can email, call us at ISSS@ucdenver.edu or oi.helpdesk@ucdenver.edu. International admissions can be reached at application@ucdenver.edu. And we thank you for joining us today, and we're excited to hopefully welcome you to CU Denver soon.